All right, welcome. With me today is Derek Notman and Megan Lurst. And today we're going to talk about their new product, Couplr, which helps advisors and prospects get connected. So before we get started, though, I thought it would be fun to just kind of introduce our guests for some of us that may not know them. So Derek, let's start with you. Like, how did you get involved with financial services?
I knew early on that I liked money and I liked helping people. So I'm like, all right, well, where can I go work with money and help people? And that's how I kind of fell into this industry and profession. And I've been an actively practicing advisor for over 17 years now. Still have my own RIA, and it's been a lot of fun, but I've got a lot of gray hair. I did not start with gray hair.
I thought you always
So,
had it.
oh no.
Is that from the
No.
financial advising, or is that from being an entrepreneur, or both?
Both, because being an advisor is really tough in the early stages, and then so it's just like being an entrepreneur. It's one and the same, really. So yeah, I remember finding my first gray hair when I was on the beach, like in my late 20s. I'm like, what is this? What is going on? And it's been a downhill ever since.
Awesome. Thank you, Derek. So Megan, you have your PhD in personal financial planning and financial therapy. Tell us a little bit of seems kind of like a non-traditional path for someone interested in psychology, kind of like what made you decide to even go into financial services with psychology?
People are crazy. People are super crazy when it comes to their money. And so it was an interesting set of events. I was actually working for a fintech company at the time, Total Rebalance Expert, and people would call or advisors would call talking about rebalancing, a client's portfolio. And sometimes it was for like, oh yeah, let's take advantage of this advantageous dip in the market. And other times it was like, well, Billy needs to go back to rehab, or my wife's going to kill me if we don't fix the bathroom, so I guess we're gonna pay for a remodel. And it was like family dynamics
Mm-hmm.
coming at you fast, in addition
Hmm.
to things around money. And I found that fascinating. I still find it fascinating. So flash forward, I end up in a PhD program, dedicated to financial therapy and financial psychology, and I was already sort of aware, of financial planning, had worked in a financial planning firm and stuff like that, and I enjoyed the people and I enjoyed the work, and I just enjoyed how fascinating it was, just like all the interwoven relationships and how money showed up in all these different places, and helping people to understand their money and helping people to have conversations with their money, whether it's with each other or with their financial advisor.
Yeah.
So it has been sort of a lifelong love, and hasn't made my hair gray yet.
It's coming.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I think it's really interesting too, because I think there's more and more discussion about, it's less about what is your performance number. It's really about kind of helping the family, the whole picture as an advisor, not just, helping them select just products, et cetera. Okay, so
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah. All right, so moving on. So before we get into the product itself, Derek, you kind of saw a problem. Like what was the problem you saw or identified as an entrepreneur and were thinking about? So just like focus on the problem first. What was the problem you were thinking about?
So with Couplr, we're actually solving a couple problems all at the same time. But the initial problem when I put my financial advisor hat on was lead gen. So I'm a CFP. I have my own brand. I've represented some pretty large, well-known companies over the years, and none of that stuff matters. My tech stack doesn't matter. My experience, my niche, none of it matters at all if I don't have a client to use it with. So, I started with the cold calling and door knocking and all of that. It was brutal, and that's probably where the gray hairs started. But it's like, man, there's got to be a better way to fix lead gen where advisors don't have to spend so much time trying to drum up business to only work with people that may not even want to work with them. So that was the initial problem. Like, how do we fix lead gen in a way that is human, in a way that we can connect people for the right reasons at the right time and place? And well, fast forward that, now we're actually trying to really solve the problem with technology, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, Megan, what were kind of some of the insights that you helped Derek with as you guys were thinking about this problem?
Yeah, so Derek and I oddly met on a podcast for
Yeah,
a
that's
different
right.
for a
Yeah.
different fintech thing for Bento, and I'm I and Derek both, are super interested in not just like that's the thing. It can't just be about helping big companies. It can't just be about helping clients, and it can't just be about helping advisors. These three entities, if you will, pools of people in one way, shape, or another, work together. And the pipeline sort of between them and, get and the platform, that they sit on just kind of gets messy. And, and each sort of has like their own issues. Derek was talking about as, a financial advisor, especially a newer financial advisor. We were looking at research during that time when we were all kind of getting started on this. And, it's like 8 out of 10 fail, like they don't become advisors. And even the ones that I study at the Kitsis platform, which most of them are doing quite well, they don't always feel well. Like we're actually in the midst of the well-being study right now. And even though they have practices, unfortunately there's a big survivorship bias. I don't really get to study people that don't go on to become advisors. But
that's true. I
there's
didn't think of that.
a real issue with like, what is my sales pipeline? And consumers, they have their own fears and concerns. Like one, there's shame, there's guilt, that come up with people individually. There's also just sort of a fear, of the financial industry. Like, is my financial advisor Bernie Madoff, or is it the wonderful and great Derek Notman? They don't know. It's hard to tell the difference between us. The white hair is confusing. And so it's cool. And, and then you have these companies that I don't think that companies in and of themselves, want that many advisors to fail. I realize there's some strategy to that, which we don't have to go into, but I think that they would want to be able to, as much as the financial advisor industry has actually placed a emphasis on things like DE&I, so diversity, equity, and inclusion. What if we could understand from our sales pipelines, not just how many more leads we have and, can we pass them to the different types of advisors, but are clients, even searching out a particular type of advisor that maybe I'm just not aware of. Like, do I really need to hire more women? Do I really need to hire Black and Latinx, people from the community? Because there's a lot of customers that are looking for somebody like that. So there's many interwoven concerns or issues to be worked out. And, thankfully, working with Derek and working with Brent, another colleague of ours, that, we're able to start figuring some of this stuff out. And some of the things that I was particularly interested in, related to trust. How do we build trust without, really even getting, seeing somebody? How can we start with a bit more empathy for each other? Also, just, I've written about it many times on the Kitsis platform. Just because somebody has showed up in your office and said, "Oh, I have a tax problem, please help me," that doesn't actually mean that they want a financial advisor. These are two different changes. First change, do whatever I need to do to fix my tax problem, which is actually painful. Second change, decide to work with a professional that I don't really know, and so these things are difficult, to balance all at the same time. And a person can be changing in many ways and be sort of in different processes with that change all at once. And so some of the things that we were interested in for Couplr as it relates to building sales pipelines, as it relates to getting information to advisor and client, as it relates to giving some information to the client so they feel empowered about the advisor. All of these things were under consideration, as we started to develop our process and our decisions on how we wanted certain things to work, certain people to talk to each other and win, and even the questions that we ask on the quiz. So.
Yeah, that actually sounds a lot deeper because initially you just think of just like, an advisor and somebody out there. And then, you're also incorporating the larger entity that they're a part of, and just kind of really thinking holistically about everybody involved in that process and the different needs that they have. A lot to unpack there for sure. So Derek, I guess let's get to it. So as you guys talk about these problems, you came up with Couplr. What kind of high level, like what actually is Couplr? And then we'll kind of go in a little bit deeper.
Think of Couplr as the eHarmony for matching with financial advisors. If Couplr and Bumble got married and had a kid, they'd name the kid Couplr. Okay, that's that would make it real simple.
Okay.
But we're a white label SaaS, and we embed in places where warm traffic, consumer traffic already exists, people with intent, because we know that millions of people a month are searching for help with financial problem XYZ. And then we're coupling that traffic with the best advisors for those people in any given advisor community.
I see.
And we're doing it at scale, which is great since we're able to plug into these existing traffic sources instead of trying to create our own.
So
Meg has written about this. We're leveraging existing brand credibility and trust that already exists versus trying to replace it, which is really, really challenging. And we're letting the whole Bumble aspect is we're letting the consumer drive the bus. We want them to be in charge of the entire process, so they know why they're getting connected with these 3 different advisors. They're able to further vet them, and then they initiate contact, which is really, really important because, again, is another thing that I didn't even know about, something Meg told me about, something called the trans-theoretical model of change is
that's a big word.
we don't know when people are, it's great. And that's what I love is like we're actually using science to back up our solution here, which is awesome. But we don't know when people want to particularly make a decision or not. So let's just let them make it when they're ready and let them initiate contact. So it's a much better user experience on the consumer side. What's really cool for the advisor, though, is that they don't get to cold call. We don't let them, right? We actually serve up warm inbound leads to them, people that have already vetted them, people that want to talk to them, want to meet with them. The only reason that lead is not going to become a client is if the advisor really has a bad sales process at this point, and that's on the advisor.
Yeah.
So we're serving these warm leads up, and so now we've solved the consumer issue. We've solved the advisor issue, and in doing so, we actually solved the problem for the different partners, the enterprise partners that we work with, because it's very expensive for them to train a new advisor. Really, really expensive. And if 8 or 9 out of 10 are failing within the first 3 to 5 years, that's tough. So if we can improve advisor retention, product and services retention, so we're helping them as well. So everybody wins. And we're literally just coupling all of these things together at once.
Gotcha. Now, you said warm sources. What are some examples of warm sources?
So think about it. I won't mention any particular companies, but there are hundreds, if not thousands of them globally, where people go to search for, maybe they just got laid off and they're like, what do I do with my old retirement account? Or I need help saving for college for my kids. Or I want to retire. The list goes on. There are all these different places. I just had a kid, or I just got married, or I just bought a house, I need life insurance, et cetera, et cetera. So they're problem aware, and now they're searching. And they're going to Google or wherever, and then eventually different websites, different places that are already thought leaders, that already are providing products and services in these areas. And they're going there, doing some research, and like, yep, I really like this company, I do need life insurance, or I need help with a rollover, but now who do I talk to? And that's where Couplr joins the conversation as part of the journey. So that's where we're going. We're not, some of our, let's call it, competitors are playing the SEO game and the paid ads game. And I'll tell you, if I'm, looking at Facebook on the weekend to see what my friends are doing or what my grandkids had for dinner or whatever, I'm not thinking about my money at that point. I don't want to be served up a cold ad at that point. Don't do that to me. Let me find it when I'm ready. Even like 401k, benefits dashboards. Think about that. Would it be cool to have a little, widget sitting right in there? So there's a lot of places we can tap into that already exist where people actually are open-minded and want help versus getting what I call pitch slapped.
Gotcha.
And getting forced to do
Yeah.
something.
Meg, let's switch gears to you for a sec. So, yeah, being the psychologist in the room, what is the client experience, or what are some thoughts around what it's like to use Couplr as a client?
Yes. Well, to many of the things that Derek just said, like we, representative bias for humans is real. Like we like what we already know. And, if you, again, if you need insurance, but perhaps you bank with XYZ, well, does bank XYZ that you like pretty well, a couple of tellers there, maybe you got your home mortgage there or something like that. You feel familiar with the people there and relatively familiar with the brand. And so that's probably where you go, to find insurance. And it like, I describe it often as like ladies' night, like in the sense that, people, they're going there because they know that they can have service there. Ladies, they go to ladies' night because they know that there's going to be drinks or whatever they're doing at ladies' night. The ones I go to is drinks. Anyway, and so now you have this pool of people that they want to be there. They think this is where I'm being treated well. This is being designed for me. So they already think, positive things. They are less worried about you being Bernie and more worried or more, concerned about, that this is what I already know. This is a brand that I already trust. So Couplr shows up on Ladies' Night and it says, hey, take this little quiz and we will help you find the right beverage and or the right male, apparently, that, or it may be female, that showed up on Ladies' Night looking for you. And so this, and the way that it works, it really helps to start conversations, as much as it is about motivating a person. And, another big issue with so on these big platforms, typically you go and it's like, hey, you need a financial advisor? We've got $1 million. And then, you put in your zip code and it's like, here's $500,000 that apply to where you live.
And you're like, what? Huh?
In consumer language, or, in consumer science language, this would be like a choice architecture issue, like huge issue.
Yeah.
They were already stressed about their problem. They already thought, okay, I sort of know this brand. I sort of like it. I'll go there. Now they have a new problem of sorting through like the Jane, the Bob, the Billy, Frank, and Tom. It's like, how do I don't know any of these people.
Yeah.
Like how do I pick? Half of them have similar,
I trust
stuff
the
that they
brands,
say about themselves.
So I trust them, but I'm still not really sure which one I want to use.
And I can't tell them apart. Yeah. So our quiz, does give you more information as a consumer about how do you match with this person. It also allows the consumer in just the exact same way that Derek was explaining, sort of Bumble style, where it's like, well, I want somebody that's like this, and I want them to have this sort of experience, and I want them to have a background in this. And maybe it would be cool if they were also military, because I'm military.
Yeah.
Like there's ways to connect. And then now, instead of having like 7,000 people show up, you have no more than like 3. And so you can really tell the difference, or look at the ways that you match with this person, this person, and this person, and then decide which of these aspects of matching really matter more to you. And then if you want, you can connect with that person. But that person can't connect with you. The advisor can't connect with you until you agree to connect with them. Also, there is a way that we can share the data in the sense that, like, you've answered all these questions about yourself. We can share that with the advisor, and we can get you what the advisor answered as well. And so now when you come to the table, the conversation initial, then now, there's a few more things to talk about. Oh, hey, you're military. I'm a military spouse. So that comes up a lot for me.
Okay.
You're military. I'm military. So great. I swear that military make the best financial advisors because everybody trusts military. So if you're hearing this out in the world and you're ex-military and you want a good job, become a financial advisor. I promise you, it's a good idea. Um, but all of my students that are advisors that are ex-military crush it. So I'm very, very happy with that. But this is another example of just how can we create some inherent and initial trust? Like, are you military? Are you a dog person? Are you like, do you love trips to Europe? Like, how can we create some just initial connection
Yeah.
more than just, hey, you have money and I know how to manage it, like that.
Yeah.
We're trying to do a little bit more than that,
Yeah.
and start people off with, actual conversations that you would have at ladies' night. Like we want you to get to know each other as people, and so the clever things that really Derek thought to do, to being able to white label Couplr and put it on the place where the people are already going, and not try to fight with like brand recognition. If they love Schwab, go to Schwab.
Yeah.
If they love TD Ameritrade, go to TD Ameritrade. If they love Morningstar, go to Morningstar. If they love Liberty, go to Liberty. Like, I don't care. I don't care where you're going.
Yeah.
There's a reason that you're going there, and that's great. And there are probably wonderful financial advisors there. We're going to help you find them. Like
Exactly.
that.
Cool.
That's cool to me.
That's a mic drop moment right there. I love that last sentence. That was great. You got to cut that one out for sure, Jeff, and use it.
Okay, I will. Special cut. Good. Cool. All right. Well, that sounds terribly exciting and different, right? I don't think we've seen anything
Yeah, it's
sort of
different.
It's different. We haven't seen something like this. Most of what we've seen is just kind of like large, sort of independent tool sets that are branding as that tool set. This is the first time we're seeing something that's kind of larger, or entities that already exist, that have a pool of advisors somehow related to them, can then tap into and help people find those advisors. So Derek, I know this is new. Can you give us just a sense of like your roadmap, kind of where are you at today, and kind of what do you see over the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, we're definitely in growth mode at this point. I'm really proud of the work that Meg and Brent and I have been able to do thus far. We have a solid product that can be deployed, that we can use right now. We got our SOC 2 Level 2 compliance certificate earlier this year,
Congrats.
which was really cool. We know that's really important for our partners. We brought on 3 developers in the last week. Bringing on a full-time salesperson here, hopefully in the next couple weeks as well. So we're all about growth mode now, where we want to really run a great, successful onboarding with this first customer that should hopefully go live in the next day or 2, fingers crossed. And then at the same time, continue to bring on more and more partners to just grow the company, obviously. But what's really cool, so obviously I'm excited about growing the team and the product and bringing on partners. It's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. But I'm also, there's a nerd part of me with Meg here, where we get to start learning. Because we're plugging into places that have massive amount of data, right? We're going to get a lot of data very quickly. And we're going to learn some things. Yeah, I know, right? Like,
okay, all right.
It's super nerdy, but
Are you
super
gonna-
awesome. And we're going to learn things that have never been learned before about the human psyche and money. And it's going to be really cool and exciting. And we're going to be able to use that data to enhance the product, give better insights back to our partners, and it's just going to get better and better. So we don't even know what some of the stuff out there is going to happen. But yeah, next 6 to 12 months, bringing on partners, growing the team, and learning from these data. That's where we're at.
Go ahead, Meg.
Well, I was just going to say, like, there's so many things that we don't know about how people make financial decisions. Most products that are out there are focused on just people in action mode. Like, you're ready to do something.
Yep.
But we know, and how people talk, like if I ask one of my favorite things to get financial advisors to ask is why now? So the client calls or the prospect calls and they're like, oh yeah, I have a tax problem. Okay, well, how long have you had that problem? Like, why now? Why are you calling me now?
Yeah.
Well, usually it's something like, well, like 6 months ago this happened. So you've been worried about this for 6 months, man? Like, but it takes a long time. This is the trans-theoretical model of change in action. They had the problem. They're like, oh man, how should I solve that? Ugh, what should I think about? And then it took them 6 months to actually call the financial advisor. And we know nothing about what they were doing or thinking in that earlier 6 months. Couplr is going to learn about that. And so like in the sense that they're going to come to the website sometimes in these big places, we're going to learn about their behavior, and we're going to hopefully be able to like help send them information that even if I can't move them through the trans-theoretical model faster, by the time they arrive in action, they are going to be so prepared to like get that advisor. They're not going to be able to wait. It's going to sound like a great idea instead of an idea oftentimes full of hesitation and sort of vulnerability.
Yeah.
Hopefully by this point, they're going to feel much more empowered, which is totally going to change the sales process that the advisor goes through, where they're probably still going to be doing some convincing, but when the client knows they really want to be there, that's a different thing. And so we'll be able to help with that. We'll be able to like create sales funnels, you know, that you've had this many people come look at insurance, and it usually takes people that want insurance, you know, 3 or 4 months to, you know, actually decide they want to talk to somebody, you know, like having that sort of information, not only about the different products that you have, about the different product lines that you have, and then how that translates into actual work with a financial advisor. We do not know that.
Yeah.
And that is going to be dope because we're going to figure it out.
That's going to be dope. Honestly, I'm just sitting here and I'm just like hoping you guys use some of that data as like a lead magnet or something and use it in your marketing, because it just sounds fascinating. So I hope,
it's going to be great.
You share some of that with the industry, because I think everyone will be able to learn from what you find out.
And another thing, like we've been talking about really big companies, but drop a little science. You know, people can't usually make a decision beyond like 7. It's why our phone numbers are only 7 digits long. You know, we can't hold that much information. So we've been talking about like huge companies, and I said like Morningstar. But if your company has more than 7 advisors in it, you should probably call Couplr. Like like it will help anybody. It's not just mega companies. Like people can't usually make a decision outside of 7.
You know what,
that becomes too many things for them to consider.
I'm glad you said that, because honestly, in my mind, I was thinking larger companies. I was not necessarily thinking, you know, maybe a small RIA that has 10 advisors. I mean, I guess that's not that small, but you know, it probably would be, who is the right person to hook up with or like connect with them, and and it may not be obvious what that is at first for that person. And they're, you know, if it's in their local community, they might say, oh, this is the firm, but like, who is the right advisor within that firm for me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Oh my gosh. So I'm excited. I'm pumped for you guys. So Derek, if somebody's listening to this and they want to learn more about Couplr, what is the best way for them to get engaged with Couplr?
Go to the website. That's going to be the best place. We've got some great information on there about what it is. It's just Couplr, Couplr. It's a tech name, so it has to be spelled funky. Couplr.ai.
Coupl.
Right. So that's the other exciting thing, is that eventually we're going to be able to turn the AI on and start training some models, which will also be pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, which has not been done either,
what does that mean? So,
to my knowledge.
Because AI means like so many different things to so many people. Some people, it's like they literally just threw ChatGPT inside their tool and they're like, we got AI. Like, what does that mean for Couplr?
Yeah, so to Meg's point, we don't know why people are connecting, when they're making choices. So as we start getting that data at scale, because we're talking about millions of data points a month that we're going to be able to start collecting. We're going to start learning that, and then we can start training models to get more and more predictive to help with better matching, better nudges, and so forth. And although AI is a bit of a black box, magic wand, wizard stuff going on, I think we could use it to actually help do things faster by turning it on at some point. That's more that's for my CTO to deal with. That's his forte.
Gotcha.
I'm the idea guy, right?
Okay, gotcha. Awesome. Oh my gosh. All right, Megan Lurtz, Derek Notman with Couplr.AI. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Great being here.